So in Playposit, when you log in, and I believe, Amy, you already created a free account. Am I correct in saying that?
No, gosh, no, I haven't. I was just looking at it. I didn't create a free account yet. I was just looking at it. I'm kind of looking in here now just to see if I did, because at some point in time and not remember, because the brain's a little fried these days, but it doesn't look like I did.
I completely understand. Maureen, you do have an account, and
I do.
you do. And if, after we're done with this, we can make sure that you can get into it okay.
Okay.
So that you have access to it. Now, I will tell you the fact that Playposit is now integrating with Google Classroom is huge. I mean, that is fantastic. But again, there is a difference between a paid platform and a non-paid platform. So again, your Edpuzzle, it's simple. It's a good one to start with. It's free. It's easy to access. But again, if you want a more robust tool, and you'll see that as we start going through this, I'm going to try not to get too technical with some of this stuff, but you'll start to notice how many more options are available with Playposit. Now, what I will tell you is you may be thinking to yourself, well, why do I want to get this advanced with this tool? Is Amy and I were talking about at the very beginning of this session, we don't know what's going to happen next fall. And in the back of my head, as I look at some of these tools like this, at the end of the year, could we end up pass fail? I know Sheffield is. I know Mount Gilead may end up, the governor may end up saying it's going to be pass fail. I don't know. But we all know that this fourth quarter is going to be looked at differently by colleges, by all kinds of places. I mean, there's only so much value to it. If we don't start up next fall, I think the expectations are going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
As far as what we're doing. So I look at tools like this and I say, oh, okay, these kind of tools with these more advanced features can also help, again, personalize the learning a little bit more, but they also hold kids more accountable. And we might find that next fall, if we don't go back, we're going to have those accountability features in place more than probably what we had to at the end of this school year. So just keeping that in mind. So when you first log in to Playposit, there is a home page, and I'm going to move my video around here a little bit. There we go. So when you first log in, you've got your account, and I will tell you right now, when you click on your name and it talks about your account subscription, scroll down a little bit, and where it says sync settings, this is where you're going to find that it says, hey, do you want to sync with Google Classroom? So obviously you're going to sync with sslcs.org or mgschools.org, and then you can click on this. It does show which classrooms you have up. I will tell you, when you do make that initial sync, and I know everyone here is used to that, where Google walks you through the allow this, allow that permission. Click on show Google Classroom data, because you still have to sync the specific class that you want with Playposit. So right now, in my generic Google Classrooms that I have, and this is actually through my Nawaka account, I have 2 classrooms set up there. So do I want Spanish 2 in there? Do I want Finding the Right Blend in there as my course? Again, you got to click on the sync, and that'll sync away. Now, when you do that, and you come down here to the left, again, you'll notice all these different options on the left. We click on classes. I have 2 different types of classes here. I've got one that actually comes over from Google Classroom, which again is going to pull over all the students, so you don't have to worry about pulling in your students. And then I've got a class called PD class that I actually set up within Playposit itself. So if you do want to directly add a class into your Playposit account, then all you have to do is click on Add New Class, and you can easily do that. So if we type in, sample, and again, if you want to color code it to make sure that you've got, so it stands out a little bit, you can change the color. We go ahead and save that, and right now, we've got that sample class. Now, after you make that class, you'll notice that, all right, I've got a class here, that's great. It's telling me, hey, you've got bulbs here, you've got a grade book here, who are the learners, and what are some actions I can take with that class that I've just created? Well, first of all, if we click on bulbs for the one we just created, there's nothing here because we haven't put anything or assigned anything to that particular class yet. But when you do go into a class that does have bulbs, for example, finding the right blend. Oops, I thought I put one in that. Let me go back to this last one, PD class. There we go. So in this last one, you can see I've assigned these two bulbs to my students. So those are popping up for that class. And if you're wondering, well, what does that look like for a student? Because this is the teacher view that we're looking at right here. If I flip over to this, this is the student view. So just pretend that this is my twin brother, John. See, I'm Jonathan. This is my twin brother, John, the student.
How did you get the student view?
Honestly, I created, and there's a way to preview your bulbs so you can so you can see exactly what the student's going to see. I just wanted you to see an actual account from the student perspective. And let's see. Oh, I don't want to go there. So now I'm in the student perspective. So when those assignments come up, they come up just like this. So when a kid goes into Playposit, they know that they have these videos to do. The due date is posted there to the right in the column. And of course, the status is right there as well. Now, on the teacher end, and this is actually really cool. This is now the teacher side. So I flip back. If I go into one of these bulbs, I can click on monitor and I can see exactly where that student is in the process of filling out that bulb. I can already find out how that student has responded. I can even go in and look at more specific data with bulb analytics. So if you see this link up here at the top, bulb analytics, you click on that and it will break down and give you a summary of how your entire class is done with that bulb at this time. So it could be, again, a great formative assessment check. Those are usually what these are very good for, but you're definitely able to see what your kids know, how well they're doing. So let's, at this point, we know that we have classes, okay? We know that we have to assign bulbs to these classes. And that's what they call these in Playposit. They're called bulbs. And in Playposit, just like Edpuzzle, you do have pre-made bulbs and you do have bulbs that you can just make on your own and pull in your own YouTube videos. I will tell you, if you want to see the bulbs you have, of course, that's the next item on the left menu, My Bulbs. Click on those and there they are. So these are ones that either you have created or you've copied from the library to put into your own little personal library. When you have these bulbs, let's say that you want to identify them in unique ways because you end up with 500 of these things and you're like, okay, which bulbs do I have that pertain to writing? You can add tags right here. So if you want to add any kind of tag that makes it easier to search for those videos when you're trying to pull them up, you can add those tags here and it'll save that tag to make that search a little bit easier. So if we're going to do this for science, we can add that tag in there. And I'm going to save it. And now we actually have science here as a tag. So it just really helps, especially if you have a lot of courses that you're creating these bulbs for. So that's nice. As far as the bulbs themselves, you can see right here in the upper left that, okay, I can add a new bulb, but what does that look like? When you click on Add New Bulb, it's going to give you this whole designer mode right here. This is where you are creating your own bulb. Now, if you recall from yesterday when we were in Edpuzzle, on the left side in Edpuzzle, it had all those different platforms that you could go to pull in videos. Now here, for example, I don't see National Geographic, but it doesn't matter because if you can get the address for that video, you can use it in this as well. So don't think that because you're not seeing all those different topic resources that you're not going to be able to use them, because you definitely will be able to do that. You do have different things that you can input. So if you just want them to listen to almost a podcast, you can use Playposit that way. That's why it has upload MP3, obviously MP4 videos, you can do that. But let's pretend that, okay, I want to pull a video directly from YouTube because I'm creating my own bowl. So we're going to go ahead and click on YouTube. And I want to type in division this time. And so all these videos populate for division. Now, again, I'm going to throw out to you, even though the way that YouTube now categorizes videos, of course, they're asking if these are kid-friendly videos, but you still have to do your own vetting to make sure that these are good videos to be able to use. We're going to use a short one here. Let me see if I can find a small one. And, oh, that looks delightful. So we're going to pick that. And right now, you can see I now have my video. And you can preview it here if you want to.
All right, today we're looking at 3-digit division by 1-digit division.
So you decide, hey, this is definitely one that I want to be able to use. And there are some things that you can also do, by the way, to customize this before you finish all this part right here. If it's possible to add captions into that video, we can actually add captions. You can still trim and crop. And there's a lot more, again, with the interactions as well. But we're going to say that this is the video that we want, and we want to customize it a little bit here. We have our video source, and that's good. Do we want to have captions with this? Well, if YouTube has captions for that video, all you have to do is click on that, and it should pull those captions into the video. Now, if it doesn't have captions for that video, it'll just tell you, sorry, don't have any. And it looks like this one actually does have captions, so that's kind of cool. So we're done with captions. And now we're getting into some fun stuff. You'll notice that the trim and crop, I clicked done and all of a sudden that disappeared. Don't worry, if you just click on video segments here, let's see, there we go, edit video segment. You can go back and actually crop this. Now, after you get done having a seizure, because of what it's currently doing, let's see if this thing will stop. I wonder if I adjust it a little. All right. Well, let me show you, by the way. And again, I wouldn't stare at this too long because it could.
Yeah, what is it doing?
I'll be honest with you, I have no clue. Let me see if I can hit play and if it stops.
Today we're looking at 3-digit.
Maybe it's really cold.
Maybe.
I don't know. I have no clue. So when it comes to editing, just like in Edpuzzle, by the way, you can crop the beginning of the video. You can crop the end of the video just by dragging those little bulbs right there. But if you're thinking to yourself, once again, and again, don't stare at that too long.
Click done, see if that works.
Well, I know, and exactly, as soon as I'm done with this advanced, we're going to click done and see if it does stop shaking. If you click on advanced, hey, look at that. It stopped. So you can drag to any point within this video segment, and you could say, I want to add an internal crop. So go ahead and add an internal crop. And what is it saying to me? Please check your current crop segments to make sure there's room. Well, there should be room. Let's try it right here. And there we are, good. So I just put in a crop. It starts at 209. But here's the difference between Playposit and Edpuzzle. In Edpuzzle, if you recall, you kind of had to, you split it and then you drag back the ends from where you split. In this one, if you know that you want to crop it from 209 up to 311, all you do is drag that red check mark to exactly where you want it. So just like that, and we're at 311, and I'm gonna say done. And that's all I want to do. So click on done. And now that is completely good to go. I've trimmed it, cropped it the way I want it. Now, before we get into interactions, I do want to show you, because you'll notice right here, it says, oh, you should start thinking about interactions because you just got done looking at video segments and cropping and all that stuff. And it says down here in the lower right of this window, hey, add an interaction. You can use a template. And this is another difference between the two platforms. If you click on Apply Template, you can use any one of these specific platforms that's automatically going to put in questions at certain spots or use certain questions. And it's just an easier way to embed some of the interactions that you want. But we're not going to use a template right now because honestly, I want you to see what it's like to just add directly yourself what you're trying to do within that video segment. So the first thing that we're going to do is at the very beginning. We know our student is getting right here and they see 329 divided by 4. But that's probably not the first thing we want them to see. We'd like to communicate with them a little bit. So we're going to add an interaction right at the very beginning of this video segment. Can you see the difference already?
Yeah. Quite a bit more.
Yeah, it's quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, and I'm not going to go through all these because I know that just by looking at them, you guys know what these are. But there are some very interesting ones that I want to be able to show you, and just the difference again between what you're getting with Playposit and what you're getting with Edpuzzle. First of all, this is the very beginning of our video segment. So they have an option to add learning objectives. So you can put in this video, you will learn about objective 1. And again, I'm sorry, I just got done again with my Swahili class. So I'm very excited about using it every time I can, just like yesterday. All right. So there's my Swahili. Now notice, by the way, as I was typing, what additional tools I have. Yes, I can embed a video. That's great. I still have the special characters and an equation editor and stuff like that. So I can still do that. Here's the other very cool feature. Now, this isn't a smart feature to use when you're sharing your objectives, but let's say this is a question. Oops. Guess who's calling me, Amy?
Not me.
David Lotting.
Oh.
And I always hate to hang up on him, or at least press it so it goes to voicemail, because he thinks it's personal, and it's not. Oops, I lost my screen. Let's go back to that. Okay, so this option right here, what is really cool about Playposit, if this is a formative assessment check at the very beginning, and your kid nails these answers, and they're tough questions, and they're just getting them right, and there's really no reason for that student to watch the next 3 minutes of that video, you can jump to the next video segment that would be appropriate for that kid to watch. Or you jump to the next question. And if that kid nails that question, well, guess what? Again, we're personalizing the learning. That kid doesn't have to take the time to work on it. So you can just click on jump and it'll say, what's the text? Where do you want to jump? And of course, you've got these styling effects right there, but you can insert that, and that's really a nice feature to have there.
Yeah.
The other one is the audio. So if you want to record your own audio for students, and you want to read through the question, you want to read through the answers. And again, I always end up bringing up special ed when I talk about these features. It's hard not to, because again, I think of all the teachers, special or intervention specialists, who have to read to kids.
Right.
Well, what are we doing now? And we all know that text to voice is not always the clearest, you know,
Right.
off of a computer.
Right.
And so it's so nice when you just hear that teacher going through and delivering that question. So, or maybe this is just something it's a hint, or it's to jog the student's memory, or to encourage the kid. There are so many things that you could do with this audio feature within this question. And it's as simple as clicking record audio. And right now I'm recording audio, and it's probably looking at me and saying, why did you use Swahili? I don't know that one. And then we upload away. And now, if it plays for us, let's see if it does. Well, we'll wait to actually go into the question in the preview mode. Record audio. Oh, there we go. And right now I'm recording audio, and boom. So again, another little game changer when you are working with your students. So at this point, we're going to say, all right, we've got our objectives. I talked to the kids. I said, this is why we're watching the video. We're done with this one. So now you have an interaction, and boy, does that look terrible. I'm sorry. The way I edited that. But here's the other cool thing. You can decide where you want this interaction to appear within the video. So if you come up here to sidebar, you can say, yep, I want it on the side. But if you don't want it on the side and you want it to be up there, and you'll notice how it changes to the right here, you can change exactly where you want it to pop up. Now, why is that good? Because if you know a lot of your video is really occurring more to the top and the right as far as what you want them to watch, hey, great. That makes it real easy to put that there. And the other thing that does, it just makes the screen larger, the video larger that they're watching. That's the reason that you would overlay that question directly on that video like that. So we're going to say done. Timing, we don't really have to worry about it because we know we wanted it 0. And again, that's where it is. Now, all we have to do to go on to our next interaction, we're going to click ahead, and we want one right here. So, and you'll notice it's telling us, hey, you want this at 8 seconds. That's right. I want to add an interaction at 8 seconds. You can do all kinds of things again, and you can check for understanding in the web embed. And this is also where it's very cool. Maybe you don't want to do a formative assessment, and it's more of a, hey, what are you thinking of this video series? This is the first one I've used. Throw in a poll and see how they respond to it. You can do fill in the blank. You can even do discussion, and that's cool. You can enter a prompt, and then that'll actually save with that video bulb, and they'll be able to respond to other comments. So that's really cool to be able to make this a little bit more interactive than just, and actually I want to cancel that, to make it more interactive and not so isolated as a segment. Let's throw in, just because we haven't, a multiple choice question. And so we're going to put in our question right here, and notice automatically, again, what's popping up. I can use the audio recorder. I have the equation editor. I've got, again, if you come over here, it does give you drop-down menus, so you can even add some more stuff. So it gives it more of a Microsoft Word or Docs kind of feel when you're creating it. So we're going to go ahead and create a simple one, and you guys know which question I'm going to put.
My cats are getting very upset by that question.
That'll be the next question. Now, again, for everything you just did, you can add those options. And here's the other thing. Now, when we say, hey, which answer is going to be the right one, you can click on the one that's going to be the right one. And here you've got some options here, but I want to show you some very cool options. When you click on advanced, you can ask students, okay, you definitely have to do this. The video is going to pause because you don't always have to pause the video. When a question, you could ask the question, and if you know that that answer is going to come up within the next minute, but you want the kids thinking about that question, you don't necessarily want that video to pause. So this is where you can set that option up. So it just, that question stays up on the screen, students keep watching, and after a minute, it stops, and then they can answer that question. So learners can rewind after the interaction, randomizes answer order, allow more than one attempt. So again, you've got some flexibility. Now, these advanced features are dependent on the type of question or interaction that you're putting in. Because if I cancel, well, let's save this one, actually. If we put in another one right here, and I go to fill in the blank, and I go to advanced, okay, you're seeing a few more options down there at the bottom. So it really is dependent on the type of interaction that you are trying to put in there. All right, let me see if there's anything here. You know what? The only other thing that I want to throw out to you, again, this does have a pause feature, which is good. It also has a check for understanding feature. So if you really want the video to pause so your students have a chance to kind of think ahead, those are two great options to do that. And again, all you do, you pause, that's all you're doing there, enter text, start thinking about cats. And again, if you want to look at some advanced options, you'll notice we don't have as many, but that's also because of the type of interaction that it is. But we're going to add that in there at 14 seconds, and we've got that. So let's say we've added all of our interactions now, and we're ready to review this thing. So you can just click on review. And Maureen, if you're wondering again, what does this look like from my kid's perspective? You click on preview, and it'll bring up the big video. And again, this is popping up at the very beginning, and this is terrible what I showed you. I actually should have typed out some more clearly written Swahili without necessarily a audio file right in the middle there. But clicking record audio, and right now, but it works perfectly fine. And again, maybe you put that audio insert at the very beginning of your objectives, put it right before it says, in this video you will learn about. But again, nice little feature to have. So we click play.
Our divisor. So if he's outside of the box, he's smaller than this number here. So that makes this our divisor.
And our next interaction comes up. Now keep in mind, we didn't overlay this one over the video itself. We use the sidebar. Now speaking of the sidebar, there are some things there in the student version that I want to point out, but we're going to answer this question first. Do you like dogs? On Maureen's behalf, and only because of cats.
I do like dogs. I just, you know, I like dogs.
It's the cats. It's the cats. That's what it does.
Cats too, yeah.
And we can continue away, but let me show you the student version again. So if I go into a video that is a student version, I want you to know what they're able to do as students in Playposit. And again, this depends on your age level. Okay, does anyone here know John Green's brother? Who does Crash Course? Great video series. Yeah, he's good. He's good. They're both good. They talk too fast, but maybe so do I. So,
well, it's Crash Course.
Yeah, Crash Course is a great series. Yeah. So what do the students see? This again is the actual student view of a video of a bulb. Notice what options they have on the left here. First of all, if you click on the clipboard, and I already went through, by the way, about a minute of this video before showing you this, they can actually see the progress of what they've done in that video. They can also look at the questions that they've already had and that they've completed within that video. They can see the progress circle as far as how far they are. They can also take their own notes, which is neat. So, and again, you know, is this maybe something that for, you know, high school students is better? I don't know, but there is a place to do that. If the video has a transcript, that's the third option. This video does not have a transcript with it, but if the video did have that with it, then that transcript would actually populate in that field, which is really nice because again, if you've got that kid who really wants to see it in multiple formats, maybe that's the game changer for that kid. So we go to the second icon below the dog here. And that second one, of course, is that question. This third one is always going to have your video objectives. So if the student's confused as to why they're even looking at this video, that student will always have this icon to go to say, this is what I'm trying to pull out. This is what the teacher wanted me to do while watching this video. So that's a nice little feature to point out.
Where does the teacher put that in?
If you put in objectives like we did with my Swahili at the very beginning, so at the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
When it's the student view and not just a preview of it, it'll actually put those objectives off to that left side for the student. So just when you add that interaction, make sure you add the objectives interaction. All right, now when we are all done with watching a video and a student has completed the assignment, we're gonna click out of preview mode here. We're gonna save and exit that one. And there's our video right here. So now we have this bulb. And again, if we want to be able to assign this, we've already either created a class within Edpuzzle itself. And if you're wondering, again, how do I even invite these kids to this class? I've got this bulb, but I don't have any kids in my class yet. So if you're not using Google Classroom, the one thing you have to know is that when you pull up your classes, and you click over here on the learners for that class, like right now, we don't have any. But the one thing that we can do is we can add learners. There's a class code here that they can use, but there's even a simpler way to do that. If we click on add learners, it tells you exactly how to get kids to get into that classroom. So you could give them this link right here. They can use Google to sign into Playposit. And because they use this class URL right here, that should put them automatically in your Playposit class. So again, if you're not using Google Classroom, I would highly recommend just use this class URL. They click on that, they use Google Sign On, and then you're good to go. Now, if you don't have a big class, for example, Amy, you're not dealing with 120 kids, then maybe you just want to upload the learners yourself. That is always an option. And they give you a template that you can download right here. That's basically just a Google spreadsheet where you can put in the names and their email addresses and get them set up, which you can do that as well. So that
I'm looking here, John. I used Sync to put some in for Google Classroom, and it's giving me a page here under learners that says secondary password. They won't need that if I assign it in Google Classroom though, right?
No, yeah, they should have it directly.
Okay.
They'll have a direct link, and it's just like Playposit. It should just be a link that they click on, and because it's synced with your classroom, and that account is synced with your Playposit account from Google Classroom, it's all going to just flow over. So that's just, I believe that one is just if they go to playposit.com and don't use their Google account.
Don't use their,
and use their email, and use that code.
All right.
As that secondary password. All right. And then let's see. Oh, so at this point, the making the classes, are we good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what we're going to do is, again, we now have this bulb that we have created. We've saved it. We've checked it. We need to assign it. And the easiest way to do that, when you're taking a look at all your bulbs right here, click on the 3 dots to the right, and you'll get all these different options. There are 2 different ways you could do this. You could, if you click on broadcast, you can see that you can assign the bulbs directly by just clicking on right here, and I'm assigning it. Great. And it goes right in. And you can put in the exact due date that you want. We're going to make it the 24th on that one. We're going to make it the 29th on that one. And this one is going to be the 26th. So that's one way to do it. All we did was click on broadcast. Now I'm going to close that, because the other way is, as you can see, it actually does have an option to assign. So you can click on assign, and guess what? It's the same thing. It's going to do the same thing. So we're going to close out of that, either assign or broadcast, to give them that bulb. The other actions in here, again, once you start getting all of these different bulbs, keep in mind the way that you can organize these bulbs. You've got your tags that we talked about earlier, but if you click on those 3 dots again, the same way that we assigned a classroom, you can go to Manage Folders, and then you can say, hey, I've created a science folder. I want to add that bulb to the science folder to know that that class has all these bulbs that I've created. Now, if you're wondering, well, where did this folder come from? Well, let's take a look at that right now, because that's the next one underneath there. That's the folders option. And so, for example, for Marine, let's say that you want to add a folder for 9th grade English. Again, you can pick whatever color you want. And okay, I don't think I clicked OK last time I used a color. And there it gives us the color. You now have that folder. So again, if we go back to our bulbs, we click on the 3 dots to the right, and we say, you know what? I also use that in this other class. Click on Manage Folders, Add Away. And you can add to those folders. And it looks like I clicked on a different bulb to do that, but
Can you nest folders?
absolutely. So when you go in to create a folder, you can actually
Okay.
create, yep, right there.
There it is. Okay.
So you
You're a
can
nester too, huh?
Well, you got grammar, you've got
Yeah.
writing, you've
Mhm.
got different
Yeah.
types of literature.
Yeah, I like to keep mine nice and organized. Otherwise, I go bonkers.
I am right with you, 100%. All right, so group, again, the last thing I really want to point out is, again, once you have assigned that bulb, okay, students have it, they've completed the assignment. Again, we all know that when you go to those classes, you can see the bulbs that were assigned to that particular class. So finding the right blend, this one was assigned there. Although let me go back to, which one was it? I think this one, where I have the data already. So we're going to click on this one right here. So you'll notice that in this class, I'm in a class right now. I've got the 3 options at the top. It shows me the bulbs. I have a grade book. I have the learners. And again, you could click on learners, and that's great, because there's your learner. That's fantastic. But I want to go to gradebook, and that's an easy way to click on my learner to see what my learner has done per bulb. And so when I actually click on that, it brings up this report. And so you're able to see what has happened at every single interaction here that you have possibly set up. Now, again, same thing that I said with Edpuzzle, we're not using Playposit for the official grade book. And I think it's always important to tell kids, don't focus on a score in Playposit. Ultimately, it's Power School. That's what you have to look for. Now, should you be conscious of your effort and your score? Sure, but that's not your official grade. If you do want to take all of the scores, you do have that option to data export down at the bottom. And just as in all things, what this is going to be is a CSV file, which is a Google spreadsheet, basically, or an Excel spreadsheet. So that's what you're going to get when you export the data, and then it'll put it into your downloads box right there. Okay.